Hello everyone, AthAWDij here. And yeah, this time we go with a new video series. This would be simpler, smaller ones with various small news and stories that are not good enough for a full video. So no deep technical stuff here, just news, reviews of upcoming stuff, and side talks based on your comments. Having said all that, I would try to keep every episode around one central topic, so it is easier for you to decide if you want to watch this or not. So today's topic is around the software I released the last few weeks. So yeah, basically news on the latest revisions and stuff. And okay, first of all, let's talk a bit about the little virus drama that we had with the initial release of the AMIBCP tool. Yeah, as I said in the video, I used this tiny C compiler to make it, and it was a very tiny and nice exe file. But then it turned to be a total disaster with all these heuristic AI-based virus scanners. All looked fine on the beginning, but in the end it got massively flagged by all these tools, to the point that it was getting instantly nuked by both Microsoft Defender and Google Drive. Well, yeah, I went into this clueless about how modern software development works. You see, I'm not a software engineer, I'm really specialized into hardware design after all. So it looks like that these days, yeah, it is a bit of hell for indie developers, especially if your tool is literally a ROM injector. So either way, in the end I just switched to MinGW. Okay, my executables became double in size, from 45 kilobytes to 90, but yeah, this mostly cleared the problem. I don't know exactly why, but probably MinGW adds some fields with info. Yeah, pure bloat, but okay, these virus scanners like to see this stuff. And okay, by the way, here I used an MSV3 runtime version and a quite older one. Yeah, this 11.5 and for sure 32 bits. So this way I still got a relatively small executable and yeah, full compatibility with all Windows versions. So now a typical release, it's only getting here in VirusTotal maybe 2 or 3 detections, and these are a bit irrelevant. Yeah, it's always this CrowdStrike Falcon with 70%. Yeah, some heuristic crap. And then, okay, this accurate that is basically very notorious to give false positives because it's mostly based on whitelisting. Then sometimes, rarely, I also get a Microsoft one, but this is also machine learning based, so again, a stupid heuristic. Now the super stupid thing is that just the compilation parameters can change the detections here. So just going from, I don't know, OS that it is optimized for size or O3 that it is the most common optimization for speed, yeah, can give totally different detections here. So every time before I release something, I have to play with all that and find the best combination. Yeah, I mean, all this is so stupid, right? But okay, at least now I learned how to properly do this. And yeah, there are no Windows Defender or Google Drive problems anymore. Yeah, this specific file, when I first made it, it had also the third one, the Microsoft ML. But then I gave it to Microsoft for evaluation, and they concluded for sure that this is totally clean. After all, there's no virus there. And after that, it also got clean here in VirusTotal, only 2 now. So my stuff are clean and carefully tested before uploading. Still, you should be careful and always download from the official Google Drive links that I post under my videos. I mean, okay, I have my personal hosting and I can just put them there, but I use Google Drive on purpose for safety. You see, Google Drive has a lot of strict checks, and if there is anything problematic there, they will just take it down. So if you use my official links and it is still blocked by your antivirus, yeah, this is a false positive. But still, if you want to be 100% sure, just check it here with VirusTotal, and if you only see these 2-3 detections, then it is fine. By the way, yeah, for sure I can avoid all that and give you executables that are totally clean, but this requires that I will get a digital certificate. This is a bothersome process and it can also cost a lot. So yeah, this is probably something I cannot do for a freeware. Yeah, I don't know, these days with software development, all this looks like an industry forcing small developers to just suffer and pay. Quite annoying. So bottom line, yeah, it doesn't really matter here. We are mostly clean, so I'm not gonna participate in this madness. Then time to talk about updates with our tools here. And yeah, as I promised on my last video, the AMI editor is now updated to version 1.02 and has all the new nice stuff that I implemented in the AthAWDij injector. So when you select a ROM, you get information down here about this BIOS. Now with AthAWDij, I'm printing there the text of the BIOS. That is basically, I don't know, the model. But the problem is very few AMI BIOS have a text. Some have, some do not have. So instead I print here the text string. Then of course we have the new and improved inject option ROM dialog with all the nice stuff here, information about the option ROMs and the inspect function. Then unfortunately this new version introduced a small visual bug here. When you inject the ROM and you close, the checksum does not update on the buffer. Yeah, this is now modified. It has an injection, but the checksum is still 000. I can fix this easily, but I just don't want to make a new version just for this, as okay, it's not something breaking here. If I enable an option and click OK, yeah, now is the new checksum that it is totally different, not because of the change, but because also of the injection and the change. So then, okay, let's see here the result of the poll that I had on the AMI edit tool about the DOS version. Yeah, okay, this was an experiment. And for sure the participation is small. 60% said I feel the pain, I love the DOS version looks. This is understandable. There were also a few comments that said, I really want the DOS version. I don't know, I mean, I kind of regret showing this on my video. The thing is, for sure, I don't want to have two different versions and support both of them. And the other thing is that with polls like that, the way that you phrase the question also affects the results. So if the real question was here like, if you could only select one version, the DOS or the Windows one, what do you prefer? Yeah, I think the results will be different. In the end, I have both of them and I only use the Windows one because it's just way easier to use. So yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint some of you, but the DOS version will never be released. Instead of that, I'm planning to redeem myself by releasing this little nice DOS tool next week. I don't want to spoil it to you right now, but yeah, this is also a real beauty too. So more on that next time. Don't forget to subscribe. So then we go to the AthAWDij injector tool, and this also got a new version, 1.01. And this is a critical bug fix, along with some small cosmetic fixes. You see, I missed the fact that the AthAWDij BIOS does not only have a single CRC. Okay, for sure it has a CRC for the total file. But then okay, actually with AthAWDij BIOS is way more complex. There are way more CRCs there for every different block of the BIOS. So yeah, I wasn't really aware of this and I didn't patch them before. And the thing is, I didn't notice with my motherboards because there was no problem at all. But then a user reported that in their system they were getting a CRC mismatch. So yeah, I went in and investigated with Modbin and I was able to reverse everything and now my new version patches CRCs correctly. Additionally, the tool now will always fix the CRCs in the original TMP files. Before, this was not the case because either way I thought it doesn't matter, Modbin will fix the CRCs. But now with this change, basically you can get the original.tmp, rename it to .bin, and then because this is a valid BIOS file, you can open it in Modbin to see something. Okay, maybe not that useful, but yeah, no matter what you generate from my tool now, it has correct CRCs. Then another user left an interesting comment about a feature that he wants to see in my editing tools. You see, okay, right now when I generate a file, if it is a bin file, the output is always in the out.bin file. And if it is a .temp file, the output is always written on place. Yeah, okay, the original TMP, this is the only way this can work. But for sure, for the bin files, the question was, why only out.bin? And the proposal was to generate an output based on the input file name plus all the option ROMs that are injected in there. So we discussed this a bit. The reality is, I don't know, I don't want to generate file names that are super long. And either way, it is a bit hard to figure out the real name of the option ROM version and all this stuff and put it in the file name. Then there was a counter proposal of generating an additional .info file or something of every generated file where all the info will be recorded automatically. So all these proposals are very interesting and of course I'm considering them. I know that, okay, this out.bin is very basic. I'm thinking of giving the user two options here, writing to out.bin or to a file that it is same as the input_m. And in case the user selects the _m, I will also generate this info file. Yeah, something around these lines. But okay, either way, for sure, this is not a priority right now. Then final update about my tools is regarding my IDE-386 Plus Option ROM. And unfortunately, these are some bad news here. Looks like my ROM is incompatible with the EMM386. Yeah, the native expanded memory driver from DOS. This was again reported by a user. Yeah, thank you very much for the report. And for sure, this is a real bug. Normal extended memory, so the high mem thing is totally fine, but the EMM386 just freezes here. The problem is really with my option ROM, and it doesn't matter where you inject it. And for sure, XT-IDE does not have this bug. Now the connection is not obvious at all, and I tried a lot of things, but I couldn't make this work. For sure, I will try to debug and fix this, but yeah, I don't know how long it will take. So for now, the only temporary solution I have for you is maybe using another expanded memory manager. And here I tried GMM386, that it is a modern implementation and maybe the easiest to use. And for sure this works just fine. And yeah, here we see the expanded memory is activated. Now probably the JEMM is not 100% compatible with everything. So I will still try to figure out this bug. But yeah, until then, this is the only solution I have. Then final discussion today is regarding AMIBCP. And last time I said incorrectly in my video that unfortunately this tool does not generate uncompressed ROM files when you open a compressed BIOS. Yeah, this is not actually true. So here now I will load. And yeah, for sure temporary files are generated. And the reason I missed them is because, yeah, it's not obvious at all. These are usually named with just 2 and 4, or okay, maybe 3 and 5, just single digit numbers. Yeah, I hit refresh and these are definitely 64 kilobytes each, and more or less the uncompressed version of the compressed BIOS. The original file is 64 kilobytes compressed. So now the question is, can we get advantage of this and use my tool to inject option ROMs in there? And this sounds very possible now. Let's try. I will copy this too and paste them into my AMI-edit BIOS folder. Of course, my tool will not see this file, so I need to rename them to .bin. So let's see now. These two files are listed and the string here is detected. That's a good sign. The checksum is all off. This could be a problem. Enable disable options does not work in any of these two. But let's see inject option ROM. Let's go first to 2. Inject ROM. Oh, there is a gap here. Let's put inject ROM. And yeah, this does not work. I mean, it ejected, but the fail to patch option ROM caller, this is not good. But let's go to the 4. Inject option ROM. We select our ROM and inject ROM. And this time, yeah, successful. Both successful. Okay, this is promising. Close. Pick checksum and save. So now we close this and we get this out bin and we rename it to just 4. Then copy back here, paste. Okay, so now we have the original 2 and 4 that it is edited with our option ROM. By the way, in this stage, it could be that the 4 file is locked and you cannot just replace it. I don't know why this time didn't complain, but last time I had this problem. Of course, I used this unlocker program. Okay, basically unlock it first and then I could override it. So either way, we have our files here. So now we go here, save BIOS file to disk file, and we put here _2, and this will start compressing. Compressing, phase 1, and unfortunately not. Yeah, the thing is, all this process probably works. The problem is there's just not enough space. So the original file was on the limit, and with this addition, even just 2 kilobytes, yeah, just doesn't fit. I mean, okay, here I have the original. If you try to inject immediately, there was no space either way. And this is a bit the issue with AMI BIOS. Our BIOS went from 64 kilobytes uncompressed to 128 compressed in one go. So all compressed stuff there are 128 and they have plenty of free space. But AMI really stayed longer at 64 and implemented there the compression. And yeah, these 64 kilobytes compressed BIOS files are just super packed. So I don't know, maybe another BIOS has more free space, but yeah, I think most of the times, yeah, it will be very packed. So I don't have another example now, but yeah, feel free to try this. Might work. I will also try later if I ever have a motherboard with a BIOS like that. So that's all with today's episode. And yeah, I'm a bit curious. What do you think about this video format? I think it's not bad. The thing is, with all these new software projects, this new video format is a necessity for quick updates and stuff. But for sure, we will not discuss about software all the time. There will be also other various news. So having said all that, yeah, that's all for today. I hope you liked it, and yeah, see you again next time.